Let me speak to you not merely as a man of philosophy, but as one who has studied the definite laws of success, failure, and the mysteries of the human heart. Today, I will tell you a truth many never dare to confront. You keep choosing the wrong partners, not by chance, but by subconscious design. Every decision you make in your relationships is rooted in the dominating thoughts of your mind. And if those thoughts are born of fear, insecurity, and scarcity, then your heart will become a magnet, not for harmony, but for chaos dressed in the costume of love. Understand this first principle. Thought is the beginning of everything. You become what you think about most of the time. If you hold the belief, however quietly, that you are unworthy of love, you will find yourself drawn toward those who confirm it. Again and again. The cycle does not break by luck. It breaks by consciousness. You cannot attract a higher kind of love while clinging to a lower opinion of yourself. Many people speak of bad luck in relationships, but luck is only the name given to cause and effect that hasn't yet been understood. There is a cause, and that cause lives inside of you. Somewhere within your emotional blueprint is a misbelief that love must hurt, that being chosen means you are finally worthy, that someone else's affection is proof of your value. These beliefs are dangerous. They are silent, but they are powerful. They guide your choices the way a compass guides a ship, subtly yet unfailingly. And if the compass is broken, you may sail toward ruin, thinking it's destiny. Let us examine then what causes the compass to malfunction. Many of you were taught, not directly but through experience, that love must be earned. You became a performer in your own life, believing that to receive affection you had to shrink, to please, to remain agreeable, even when your soul screamed for honesty. You mistook approval for connection. You mistook attachment for love. You mistook drama for passion. But my dear friend, what you truly sought was something deeper, validation. And that is where the error began. You do not enter relationships to be validated. You enter them to expand, to grow, to share in a spiritual union that elevates both souls. Yet how can you expand when you are trying not to be abandoned? How can you grow when you are shrinking just to keep the peace? You must learn this now. A relationship should never cost you yourself. I have studied men and women of great power, of great wisdom, and without exception, those who thrived in love were those who first learned to be alone. Not lonely, but whole. They did not seek a partner to complete them, but to complement the life they had already committed to building. And so I ask you, have you committed to your own life yet, or are you waiting for love to give you permission? If you are waiting, you are putting your soul on layaway, bargaining your truth for temporary connection, and temporary it will be. Because no matter how intoxicating a beginning may feel, if it is built on self-abandonment, it is already doomed. Let us now move to another truth. The kind of partner you choose reveals what you believe you deserve. You may say with your words that you want stability, loyalty, and deep emotional safety. But if deep inside you still believe you must struggle to be loved, then you will overlook the peaceful ones. You will say, they are boring, too predictable. But what is really happening is this. Peace feels foreign, and foreign feels unsafe. You are not drawn to chaos because you like pain. You are drawn to chaos because it mirrors the environment in which you learn to relate. It is familiar. And the subconscious prefers the familiar over the healthy unless you reprogram it. How do you reprogram it? Through awareness, through discipline, through radical self-honesty. It begins by watching your patterns without shame. You must become an observer of your choices. Ask yourself, what qualities do I repeatedly ignore in others? What red flags do I minimize? What green flags do I distrust? Why? You must ask, do I choose with my intuition or with my insecurity? You must ask, do I pursue the one who sees me or the one I have to chase? If the answer is the latter, then your romantic life is not being led by vision but by void. and nothing sustainable can be built from a void. In my research for Think and Grow Rich, I interviewed over 500 of the most successful individuals of the early 20th century. And while most were celebrated for their external achievements, I found a striking pattern. Those who failed repeatedly in love often did so not from a lack of opportunity, but from a lack of emotional mastery. They had not conquered themselves, and so their relationships became battlegrounds for unresolved inner wars. You must not make this same mistake. The invisible war you have not resolved within will show up in every relationship you enter. And the more you ignore it, the more powerful it becomes. So pause, reflect, ask yourself, what part of me still believes love must be earned? And then ask, what would happen if I no longer believe that? You might be surprised by how much space that answer opens in your life. I tell you now, no partner, no matter how charismatic or beautiful, can rescue you from yourself. They can walk beside you, they can inspire you, but they cannot become your oxygen. The moment they do, you will compromise truth for connection, and the cost will be your identity. You must not make your relationships the centerpiece of your worth. A worthy relationship is one where both people are centered in their own purpose, their own growth, and their own integrity. Only then can love thrive, not as dependency, but as divinity. I say this to those who keep repeating the same heartbreak. Do not curse the pattern. Study it. It is your teacher. It has come to awaken you, not to punish you. And it will repeat until the lesson is integrated. Do not resist the lesson. Embrace it. Ask yourself, what must I learn from this pain that I have been refusing to see? Ask what version of me keeps choosing these kinds of partners. And then do the hardest thing, evolve. Evolve beyond your conditioning. Evolve beyond your coping. Evolve beyond your idea that pain is the price of love, because it is not. Real love does not come to wound. It comes to heal. But it can only arrive once. You have built a life that is already whole without it. That is the paradox. Only those who no longer need love to feel worthy are capable of attracting the kind of love that is worthy. So build your foundation, build it deep, build it strong. Build it through your daily habits, through your commitment to your mind, through your refusal to settle for shallow validation when your soul craves deep resonance. And when you do this, when you stop negotiating your standards for temporary attention, something extraordinary happens. You no longer chase, you no longer beg, you no longer seek to be chosen, because you have already chosen yourself. And the world responds not to your longing, but to your energy. When you walk in your truth, you do not need to convince anyone of your value. You simply attract those who can see it and repel those who cannot. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. And alignment is the birthplace of all things powerful, including love. So many spend their lives running from solitude, mistaking it for emptiness, when in fact it is the sacred ground upon which real transformation begins. If you are to stop choosing the wrong partners, you must first become intimately acquainted with yourself, not the persona you perform for the world, but the inner presence that quietly watches everything you do. This is the self you must come home to. This is the self you must stop betraying. For each time you bend your truth to keep someone near, you abandon your inner compass, you dull your discernment, and you allow the loud voice of fear to drown out the quiet wisdom of intuition. Hear me clearly. Intuition is the greatest asset you have when choosing a partner. It is the soft knowing that speaks without explanation. And yet, how often have you ignored it? How often have you felt the subtle nudge, a whisper saying something is off, only to silence it because you didn't want to lose the fantasy? The wrong partner always arrives with a lesson wrapped in seduction. They pull at your old wounds, not out of cruelty, but because they resonate with the version of you that still needs healing. They are not here to stay. They are here to reflect. And once the lesson is learned, you will no longer need to repeat it. But most people don't learn. They distract, they numb, they project, They blame, they chase the same storm in different bodies, and they call it fate. But fate is only the echo of your unconscious mind. If you do not master your mind will master you, and it will lead you to familiar pain with surgical precision. There is no freedom in repeating patterns you refuse to understand. I say again, examine your pattern. Write it out. Dissect it. What were the emotional signatures of those you chose? What did they offer that felt irresistible? What did they withhold that triggered your deepest fear? In this reflection lies your liberation. Because what you chase in others is often what you refuse to cultivate in yourself. You want someone to stay? Learn how to stay with your own feelings. You want someone to love you deeply? Learn to meet your own emotional depths. You want someone to commit. Commit to your own path, your own purpose, your own boundaries. Until then, you will always seek from others what you have not yet anchored in yourself. And here is where many falter. They confuse connection with chemistry. Chemistry is exciting, it's addictive, it's the electric charge that ignites when two wounds recognize each other. But compatibility, that is built, that is chosen, that is nurtured over time with patience, with presence, with aligned values and shared visions. You may feel fireworks with someone who triggers your trauma, but fireworks fade. Stability, safety, and soul recognition, they endure. You must mature beyond the thrill of dysfunction. Emotional maturity is not about how much you love someone. It's about how you love. Do you love with clarity or with chaos? Do you love with awareness or with attachment? Do you love from fullness or from fear? This difference defines the fate of every relationship you enter. Now listen. Choosing a better partner isn't just about spotting red flags. It's about recognizing your own inner red flags, the ones that allow you to override truth for a hit of emotional validation. Your work, therefore, is not in seeking, it is in becoming. Become the person who no longer needs to be rescued. Become the person who does not romanticize inconsistency. Become the person who holds themselves to a standard of inner alignment so high that anything less than emotional reciprocity simply does not feel attractive anymore. This is not about arrogance, this is about protection. Because your heart is sacred and you must protect it not with walls but with wisdom. Now let me speak of desire. Desire is powerful. It is the starting point of all achievement. But in the realm of love, desire without discipline is dangerous. It leads you toward temporary highs and permanent consequences. Discipline in love means choosing with foresight, not just feeling. It means asking, will this person support my highest growth? Will they stand with me when the passion cools? Will they hold space for my truth, not just my beauty? These are not romantic questions. These are legacy questions. Because the partner you choose can either multiply your purpose or diminish your destiny. History is filled with examples of men and women who rose or fell based on who they aligned with. Do not underestimate the influence of partnership on your path. You may have a great vision, a mighty dream, but if your emotional life is in chaos, your vision will blur. Your energy will scatter. Your inner foundation will crumble under the weight of unmet emotional needs. This is why I tell you, master your emotional life as rigorously as you master your goals. You cannot build an empire on a shaky heart. You must clear the clutter. Let go of those who confuse love with control, affection with possession, drama with depth. Choose peace over passion if the passion is poisoned. Choose consistency over intensity if the intensity is unpredictable. Choose the quiet presence of someone who listens over the loud performance, of someone who only hears themselves. Because real love doesn't need to impress, it needs to understand. And real love doesn't diminish you, it expands you. Let me return to a fundamental law, the law of vibration. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, every emotional signature you emit, they all create a frequency. And you do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. You attract according to the level of consciousness you live at. If you are living in survival mode, fear, scarcity, unworthiness, you will draw in relationships that reflect those energies. They may look different on the surface, but underneath they will feel the same. To break this cycle, you must elevate your state, elevate your standards, elevate your emotional intelligence, elevate your self-image, because your relationships will never exceed the level of respect you hold for yourself. Let us speak of forgiveness now, not of others, but of yourself. You must forgive yourself for the times you stayed too long, for the times you ignored your intuition, for the times you betrayed your own needs just to feel loved. This forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength. It is the portal to personal freedom, because as long as you judge yourself, you will keep choosing people who mirror that judgment. Your self-compassion becomes the soil from which healthy love can finally grow. So bless the ones who hurt you, not because they were right, but because they revealed what was unhealed. They were mirrors, not monsters. And once the lesson is learned, you do not need the pain anymore. Let it go. Let them go. Hold the wisdom and begin again, not from brokenness, but from wisdom. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where your soul needed to be to wake up to this truth. You are worthy of a love that does not confuse you. You are worthy of a love that feels like peace, not performance. You are worthy of a love that aligns with your destiny, not distracts from it. But you must choose it consciously, courageously, and consistently, because in the end, love is not found, it is chosen. And the first person you must choose is yourself. And now, having returned to yourself, having begun the slow, deliberate process of remembering who you are, the question no longer becomes, where is love, but am I prepared to receive it? Because love, true love, is not withheld from you. It is simply incompatible with the vibration of fear, need, and unconscious patterning. You must elevate to meet it. You must build a life so whole, so rooted in purpose, that love becomes a beautiful addition, not a desperate fix. You see, dependency masquerading as devotion is a thief. It steals your discernment. It clouds your vision. It makes you believe that attachment is affection and sacrifice is loyalty. But let us be very clear. Sacrificing your values for love is not love. Dimming your light to keep someone else comfortable is not love. Love is not something you suffer for, it is something you rise through. And rising requires solitude, not loneliness, but solitude. The sacred space where you learn to befriend yourself so completely that your presence becomes your home. Only then can another person enter your life without becoming your source. Because when you make someone your source of safety, of identity, of validation, you hand over the keys to your inner kingdom. And what happens when they leave? You collapse. You shrink. You forget that you were whole before they arrived. Let this be the final awakening. No one can complete you. They can only complement you. You are not a half searching for your other half. You are a full being, evolving, expanding, creating, and inviting others to walk beside you, not fill you. This understanding changes everything. It removes the desperation from your decisions. It silences the noise of the past. It brings a calm clarity to your heart that says, I will no longer abandon myself for company. I will no longer ignore my inner knowing to avoid being alone. I will no longer enter into agreements that cost me my peace. Because I know now, peace is the highest proof of alignment. If your heart is constantly in chaos, the connection is not divine, it is dysfunctional. And dysfunction will always feel familiar when you haven't healed the root. So, what is the hidden reason you keep choosing wrong partners? It is not that you're unlucky. It is not that love doesn't exist. It is not that you are unworthy. It is that, on some level, the pain is still useful to you. It serves a purpose. It keeps you small. It keeps you safe. It keeps you in the known. But growth begins the moment pain becomes unnecessary. When you no longer need it to define you, when you no longer use it to fill your emptiness, when you no longer believe that love must come through suffering, then, and only then, does your energy shift. Then you become magnetic to a new kind of love. Not the kind that excites your wounds, but the kind that calms your nervous system. Not the kind that rushes in recklessly, but the kind that builds steadily. Not the kind that seeks to possess, but the kind that seeks to witness and support. This is what you truly crave, and this is what you must become ready to receive. It begins with presence, with slowing down, with feeling the uncomfortable truths without running, with choosing your inner alignment over outer approval, with being okay with being misunderstood in the service of your truth, with saying no when your body tightens, with saying yes only when your soul expands. This is radical self-respect. And from this foundation, love becomes an extension, not a remedy. From this place, you no longer chase butterflies, you build gardens. You no longer need grand gestures, you crave emotional safety. You no longer measure love by how much someone desires you, but by how deeply they see and honor your soul. This is evolution. This is how you become the chooser. No longer the one who waits to be chosen. No longer the one who tolerates ambiguity, inconsistency, and pain dressed up as passion. But the one who calmly, firmly, and lovingly says, I will wait for what is real. Because real love does not confuse. Real love does not gaslight. Real love does not breadcrumb, manipulate, or disappear when things get deep. Real love stands in the fire with you. It grows roots. It communicates clearly. It reveals rather than conceals. And if this is what you want, then you must become it. You must practice honesty, not just expect it. You must practice emotional availability, not just demand it. You must practice self-responsibility, not just project your wounds. Because every healthy relationship is built by two people who have chosen to face themselves. It is not luck. It is not timing. It is the result of inner work. And that work is yours to do. Do not rush. Do not settle. And do not believe the lie that you must shrink to be loved. The universe responds to integrity. And when you walk in alignment with your truth, what is meant for you cannot miss you. The wrong partners begin to fall away, not because you pushed them, but because they can no longer reach you. Your frequency has changed. You have grown beyond the need for chaos. You have stopped entertaining what drains your soul. And in this space, love arrives quietly, peacefully, powerfully, not to complete you, but to walk beside you. Not to fix you, but to celebrate you. Not to rescue you, but to rise with you. So I ask you now, are you ready to stop choosing from